Welcome to today's episode of BizJet TV. We're talking about charter prices on the increase. What's the cause of this? We're going to look at the market and see what's happening and the causes and the whys of what's happening. Now, if you haven't subscribed to BizJet TV, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel all about private aviation. My name is Fabrizio, and we're going to get straight into it now and talk about the charter prices on the increase. Now, data gathered by our friend over at Private Jet Car Comparisons, Doug Gollan and his team have looked at the market and they've discovered that the charter prices are up about 25%. Now, this is data that he collected, data from 2021, so now we're 2022. This is interesting. So we haven't factored in the price of fuel. So expect the prices to go up even further. I mean, we're talking about $8,400 an hour on average. Now it's like $10,000 plus an hour on average per flight. I mean, of course, light jets are cheaper than the larger jets, but that's what's happening right now. Now, the price of Jet Alpha 1, which is the fuel which powers these jets, was about $4.25 per gallon. That's average, of course, worldwide. And now the price is about $7.50. So that's almost doubled. So expect this factor to probably increase the price of charters even more, or the operations of your private jet. But you'd think that usually when these things happen in the market, we see less people fly, we see more jets for sale and prices drop, but we're actually seeing less jets for sale and prices going up. Some prices have gone up like 15, some 20% compared to last year, price of a jet. Some people have bought an airplane last year, sold it this year and made a profit. I mean, even things like Pilatus PC-12 have gone up $500,000 to $600,000 in the space of a year. Something that was worth $2.5 million last year is now sold for over $3 million. So the demand is high. And so the question is, why is this happening? Well, of course, we had the COVID lockdowns. We've got the situation in Ukraine with the war there, and everybody thought that the war in Ukraine and inflation was going to kill the private jet industry again, or make people fly less. People were saying, well, there's 400 to 500 Russian jets owned by Russians. They're going to be repossessed. They're going to flood the market. The prices are going to come down. That hasn't happened. Yes, some of these jets are for sale, but again, demand is really high. And so prices are where they are, but people are buying private jets. Now, why is that happening? This is my take on it. Now, lockdowns, people were locked in. They were doing a lot of meetings via Zoom. A lot of companies have now decided that they're going to have most of their teams work remotely. They don't need a big fancy office in central center of Dallas or Tokyo or London or wherever it may be. They know that people can work from home. They've developed the technologies to monitor their people from home and make sure they do the calls. But, you know, at the end of the day, as long as you're bringing business, as far as I'm concerned, if someone's working for me, as long as they bring the business in, that's what counts. Now, if that took you 5 minutes to bring that deal in, I'm happy with it. If it takes you 5 weeks, I think, you know, people should be judged based off of their performance, and I think a lot of companies are buying into this way of doing business. But, you know, you can only do so much via Zoom, and I think what happened, where deals were being done via Zoom and, you know, via video link and using the internet. I think once people started to travel again and meet up with their loved ones and do business meetings face to face, I think people are appreciating this a lot more than before. And that's why we're seeing more and more people travel. And of course, the airlines are going through a crisis right now. Airports, it's getting long lines of security, 4 or 5 hours sometimes. Lots of airlines have scrapped routes. They're not resuming those routes. The frequency on certain routes isn't what it used to be, and they're not going to put so many flights between one destination and another like they did before. And so for anybody that has to travel for business, it's become more tedious, more difficult. And so they think about it twice before they send their team out. Now, one gentleman I interviewed just recently for both Avbuyer magazine, you can click on the link below, and also on BizJet TV, is Don Catalano. He's a realtor from New York. He owns a Honda jet, which he flies himself. What Don and his team have been doing is saying to their prospective customers, we will send our jet out to pick you up and take you to see the piece of real estate and back in time for dinner with your family. And people are buying into that. They love that whole concept. And so if someone's looking at going to look at a piece of real estate and the company says to them, okay, come and see it, and then you have to make your own way basically on and whether you charter a jet or whether you go with American Airlines or Lufthansa or British Airways. But, you know, the edge that Don's company is having is they will send their jet out to pick you up and take you there at their own cost. They just eat the cost of that because they're investing in the deal. And as a result of that, the deal flow is increased. And Don's not the only one using a private jet this way. I think a lot of people before were thinking about, if I buy a jet, I have to go somewhere on the jet. Because when you fly with the airlines, you buy a ticket, you're usually flying. So what people have realized is, well, I can actually send the jet out to pick people up and bring them to me. And there's a lot of value in that. And people appreciate the fact that you sent an airplane out to pick them up. And they feel pampered in that. And then they also appreciate the fact that they can meet you face to face. And you've made that effort. And this is something that, you know, you need to think about if you're thinking about buying a private jet. Now, charters, of course, are still on the increase, about 100% in certain parts of the world, even though the prices are up. And it's always a good way to start with a charter. Now, I organise charters worldwide, so I can do that for you. So if you're thinking of chartering or leasing or buying a private jet, I encourage you to reach out to me. Let's schedule a Zoom call and let's find out more about your business, about your needs, and see what the best solution is for you. I do recommend having your own aviation advisor, because this is a very technical purchase, whether you're purchasing a charter or you're buying a jet, and you need to have the expertise to guide you through the market, buying the right airplane first of all, making sure certain maintenance has been done, and then after that you've got to crew the airplane, and I can help you with crew. I source crew, I headhunt crew. I only go through my own network, and you know, we look at the individuals, we look at the technical aspect of the pilot, but we also look at the personality and try and match the best candidate for that particular operation. And we do this worldwide. We use pilots from all over the world, and this is another part of the service that we offer here at Orville Aviation. So I do encourage you to sort of, if you're thinking about chartering or buying a private jet, click on the link on the website, orvilleaviation.com. You can fill in this form, and you know, we'll schedule you in for a call and see what we can do for you. And that's all from me on this episode. I would encourage you to look at this interview with Don Catalano. Very interesting. I also did some other interviews with private jet owners. We've got more coming as well in the next few weeks and months. So look out for those. It's always interesting to hear why people buy a jet, hear the different stories, because that will help you with your buying decision. And that's all from Fabrizio on BizJet TV, and I'll see you on the next one.